Welcome to the Proverbs 31 CEO. My name is Doreen Michelet, and today we are talking about the 12 commandments for predictable revenue. So I want you to stay to the end because I'm going to be giving you all the juice in the document where you can literally have this commandment and always refer to it. So let's dive in. There's a quiet frustration that a lot of founders carry out loud, and most of them never say it. Right? They're doing everything correctly. They learned marketing, they invested in programs, they show up consistently, they even adopted AI, and yet revenue still feels unpredictable. Some months income comes in, others it stalls, and the exhausting part isn't the work, it's the uncertainty. After years of working inside online businesses and studying how founders actually grow, not just how they look like while they're growing, I've realized something uncomfortable. After years of working with over 130 founders, I have come to realize this uncomfortable truth that most business advice was not designed for predictable income. It was designed for visibility. It was designed for attention. It was designed for virality. The online industry optimized for creators, influencers, and attention, and not for founders trying to build stable, sustainable business. So today I want to rewrite the rules. And that's why I'm calling them the 12 commandments of predictable income. These are the principles behind everything I teach, build, and believe about modern marketing. The first commandment is thou shalt not confuse content with strategy. Let's start here because this is where most founders are stuck right now and they don't even know it. Posting content is not a marketing system. Content attracts attention. It's just the front door. Systems convert that attention into revenue. So if you don't have a back door, if someone enters your living room and there's nowhere to dine with you, well, then you're leaving money on the table. And those are two completely different things. Having content alone is just the attraction system. That's the attention system. But the systems that you have at the back end is what converts the attention into revenue. So here's a test I use with every founder I work with. If you stop posting today, completely stopped, would you still be generating revenue? Right? If the answer is nothing, then you don't have marketing. You just have, you're just on the content hamster wheel. Right? I know that's direct, but I want you to really sit with it because I've watched brilliant women pour years into content, and the moment life happened, a healthcare, a family situation, a burnout, their income collapsed overnight. And that was my story. I've lived that story, right? Posting content online, build a brand, have hundreds always commenting, and then when something happens and you need to step back, there goes your income, right? And this is not because we're not skilled or talented, but because the business was built on presence and not on systems. And that was a hard lesson I learned over my years of marketing online. Predictable revenue begins when your content feeds a structured journey, a structured buyer journey. When someone discovers you, there's a next step and a step afterwards, and the system handles the follow through with or without you. Content is the spark, and the system is what keeps the fire burning. So let's move to the second commandment, which is thou shalt build systems before scaling efforts. Right? Most founders try to grow by doing more posts, more platforms, more offers, more of everything, especially when things are not working. But growth built on effort collapses under pressure. I've lived this. I've seen clients live this. You scale effort and all you get is a bigger version of burnout, exhaustion, and frustration. Systems allow results to compound without increasing the workload. Think about it this way: if you doubled your audience tomorrow, would your business handle it gracefully? Or would you be overwhelmed? The goal is not working harder. The goal is not harder marketing. The goal is marketing that continues working even after you log off. The goal is having assets work for you that are your salesmen and saleswomen while you log off. That's the goal. So before you think about growth, ask yourself what's working right now that I haven't systemized yet. That's your starting point. Not a new platform, not a new offer. Systemize what's already working first. right? There's actually a biblical principle embedded in this: stewardship. Stewardship comes before multiplication. You have to prove faithful with what you have before God expands your territory. The same principle applies in business. Let's move to the third commandment, which is, thou shalt fix conversions before chasing more traffic. And this has to be said loud for those at the back, because the industry constantly says you need more leads, you need more visibility, you need more reach. Often you don't. More traffic poured into unclear messaging only magnifies confusion. Imagine you have a bucket with holes at the bottom. Pouring more water in doesn't solve the problem. It just means more water on the floor. We don't want that. Before you scale, you optimize. Clearer positioning, clearer messaging, stronger buyer understanding, stronger buyer psychology, intentional nurture assets. Then you plug the holes first. So I see founders running ads before they've even validated their messaging organically or their offers organically, and then they wonder why the ads don't convert. The ads didn't fail, the foundation wasn't ready, it wasn't built. So you want to scale what works, not what leaks. Now here's your homework from this commandment. Look at where people are dropping off in your journey. Is it before they get on your list? Is it after they opt in but before they buy? That drop off point will tell you exactly what to fix. Now let's move on to commandment 4. Thou shalt use AI as infrastructure, not entertainment. So, with commandment 4, I have an entire article which says AI will not save your business if your foundation is broken. That goes in depth, but I'm just gonna give you a little context here, right? Because this one is really close to my heart, because AI is central to everything I teach inside the predictable revenue system. That is my core high ticket offer. But here's what I want you to hear clearly: AI is not your shortcut to success. It's leverage. It's not a magic button, right? It helps to bring efficiency. It helps to save time. It helps to buy back time. It helps to increase productivity, right? And leverage magnifies structure. Right now, most founders are collecting AI tools instead of building AI systems. I need to take that again. Right now, most founders and faith led entrepreneurs are collecting AI tools instead of building AI systems. Those two are completely different things, right? They're automating tasks instead of designing outcomes. They use ChatGPT to write and call it using AI. That's not leverage. That's a slightly faster version of the same content hamster wheel, right? AI becomes powerful only when it's placed inside clear revenue system, when it's connected to your funnel, when it's responding to leads at 2 a.m. on your behalf, when it's segmenting your orders and triggering the right email sequences at the right moment. Otherwise, it just produces more noise faster. The question isn't, am I using AI? The question is, am I using AI to build revenue systems that will do the work that used to require me? Am I using AI to replace manual, repetitive tasks that is taking hours and that does not bring revenue? Right. Let's move on to commandment 5. Thou shalt listen to buyer language above expert opinions. The best marketing I've ever written did not come from being creative. It didn't come from being assumptive. It came from listening. And listening is a skill that is really underestimated and underutilized, right? Your past clients, your community members, the people who DM you, they are already telling you exactly how to sell them. They're describing their fears, their objections, their desires, their decision triggers. When marketing reflects the language buyers already use, persuasion becomes natural. Clarity replaces convincing. You wouldn't have to convince, right? Here's a practical example. Instead of saying, build a scalable business module, say what your clients actually said to you on the call. I want to stop waking up at 3 a.m. and wondering where my next client or my next income is coming from. Which one hits harder? The second one, right? Because it's their words and not ours. So start collecting the language, start listening, screenshot the DMs, keep notes of how people describe their problems before they've learned your terminologies. That language is gold. Use it. Now let's move to commandment 6. Thou shalt build nurture and not pressure. Right? People rarely buy the first time they encounter you. Most of the time they need to see you 5, 7, 10 times before they trust you enough. And now it's even gone up because a lot of buyers have been burnt. Buyers are more sophisticated. Buyers have bought courses that is providing generic information, generic results for a specific problem. So buyers Have your radius and the antennas up like a high tower, right? So that touch point time has increased to like 20, right? Because of the bad name the industry is getting, right? So the question is, what happens during that in between time where you're trying to close that gap of, yes, you can trust me, yes, you can buy from me, right? You want to have some nurture systems in there that educate that guy, that build familiarity long before a sales conversation ever happens. They are the bridge between, I just found this woman and I need to work with her. Nurturing assets, nurturing systems, those systems must be working for you even whilst you sleep. And this is especially important for those of us who value integrity. We don't want to pressure people. We don't want to manipulate people. We want people to buy because it's genuinely right for them, right? And so good nurture makes selling feel calm instead of forced, right? And it means that by the time you make an offer, people already pre-sold on you. They already trust you. The sale is almost a formality. And honestly, that is stewardship too, because you are stewarding the attention that people give you. You're not squandering it with aggressive tactics, but you're investing it through genuine value, and that value comes back to you. Commandment 7 says, thou shalt let funnels come last. I really need to hammer this, right? If I had $1 for every founder who builds a funnel before they had clarity on their messaging, I'll be funding my next business, because it's crazy how a lot of people come in and they believe that a funnel will solve their problem. No, a funnel without clarity will not solve your problem, but would rather expose it. So funnels are just amplifiers, they're not solutions. They work best after messaging clarity, after audience or buyer understanding, after trust building systems are in place, after you knowing your foundations, you know what your offer is, your messaging, your audience is, you know the strategy that you can use to speak to your buyers and what their fears are, their desires are, right? When you install a funnel too early, it doesn't fix your problem, it exposes them, right? Your funnel is essentially a magnifying glass, and if there are gaps in your offer and your messaging, your positioning, your funnel will show you every single one of them painfully, right? So that matters. This knowing that matters more than the funnel, than the software. So you want to get clear on who you serve and what transformation you provide. Validate that message resonates with your ideal buyer organically. Then you can automate it with the funnel. Tech is not the barrier, clarity is. Now, commandment 8, thou shalt pursue predictability over virality. Yes, this needs to be hammered more, right? Virality creates spikes, systems create stability. I've seen founders go viral, genuinely viral, thousands, hundreds, and millions of shares, and do not convert a single client, because virality without systems is just expensive attention, it's just noise, right? I had a moment in my entrepreneurial journey where I had 400 comments that I had to respond to every day. And one day, my husband asked me, after I had spent 3 hours, I used to use like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, maybe if there's more comments. And then my husband asked me, babe, how much have you made from all these people who are engaging on your post? And I said zero. And that's when it dawned on me that likes cannot be cashed out at the bank. And so I had to change my strategy. And I did. It took a while to shape my messaging. And once I did, I started repelling all the freebie seekers. And then I started attracting buyers. And the amazing part of it is that I had less comments, but I was making high ticket sales. And that's when I knew that, okay, now this is the right way and that was the wrong way. And I wasn't spending hours engaging with people who just came because they wanted me to engage back, right? So, a business built on viral moments feels emotionally exhausting because results depend on luck, right? You're always chasing the next hit. You can't plan around it. It's not predictable. You can't forecast off it. You can't build a life of it because you cannot tell when it will go viral. And so, your income depends on that chance of going viral. And even when it goes viral, there is no guarantee that it's going to bring income, right? So, predictable income or revenue comes from repeatable pathways, not unpredictable exposure, right? Here's a standard I want you to hold. Could you predict within reasonable range what your business will generate next month based on what you've built? If yes, you have a system. If no, you're still at the mercy of the algorithm, right? So now let's move to commandment 9. Thou shalt create authority through ideas, not volume. Right. So you can have a lot of content there that you can reuse, you have a lot of perspective, you have a lot of opinions. You want to focus on changing one idea into a series, one idea into something that will build authority, right? Consistency alone does not build authority. Clear thinking does, right? There are people that are posting every single day who nobody wants to hear from or remembers, and there are people who post once a week and they have an entire community waiting for their next thoughts. The difference is not in frequencies and depth, it's in perspective, it's in opinion. Your unique opinion is what people are coming to you for. That's why hundreds of people can't wait for one person for their next post, because they value their perspective and your opinions, right? So that is how you can grow authority. Authority grows when audiences recognize how you interpret problems differently. When you name something they've been experienced but couldn't articulate it well. When you offer a framework that recognizes how they see their business. The goal is not more volume. It's to become known for a specific perspective, a unique perspective. And for me, that perspective is the reason why most online businesses feel hard is because they're built on effort instead of systems. And I had to come to that realization because I had lived the life where I was hustling, and my income depended on my presence, right? And so that one idea, that reframe, is the foundation of everything I teach, because God is not impressed with your hustle. Right? What's yours? If someone had to describe what you stand for in one sentence, what would it be? Build from there. Ideas compound faster than output ever will. So instead of always creating new things and volume, have one idea and build from there. One perspective that you want to be known for and build from there. And that should be the reframe in which the foundation of your business is built. Commandment 10: thou shalt design one core idea and distribute intelligently. Right. And so you don't want to be creating endless new content. You want to go deeper into the development of the ideas that you have built. So at Commandment 10, it's coming from Commandment 9, where you have one core idea and you can distribute that intelligently. You can distribute that one core idea into an article, into a podcast, into a YouTube video, right? You don't want to be in the content hamster wheel where every day you want to think about fresh, original content. That is not sustainable. One insight, one real meaty insight can become a long form article, like I said, a series of emails, short form posts for social media, a video script, like a podcast like this one, right? Talking point for sales call, and further other things. It could even be a book, can even come out of it, right? So that's not just one piece of content. That could be a month of content just from one idea, right? So creation should feel like expansion, not reinvention, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You're not starting over every week. You're going deeper into the same territory, meeting people at different entry points, and that's how mastery is built. And that's how you now build authority and become known for that one idea. And that's how you build a body of work over time. Every single thing you do connects. People binge your content because, not because there's more of it, but because it all adds up to something coherent. And if you realize almost everything I'm talking about, there are articles on it. I have an article that you could go and read on one idea, 7 income streams, that is built from Commandment 10. And then AI is also built from Commandment 4, right? So everything is coherent. Everything is coherent. And it's all leading back to one idea, which is predictable income comes from systems and not effort, right? And that also helped me to create my book, which is Confessions of an Entrepreneur, where I document everything that I wish I had done and how I'm rebuilding my business again. So let's move to Commandment 11. Thou shalt build businesses that become calmer as they grow. This commandment is deeply personal to me. This commandment is deeply personal to me because when I first started, I believed that success would eventually feel like relief. I just needed to push harder and then I'll reach the other side. I was wrong. You don't push your way to peace, you build your way there. Because when I first hit my first 10K month, it felt really heavy. And I asked myself, is this how heavy it is? Is this how difficult it is to hustle, and finally hit your first 10K. And I hustled my way to my first 60K in my first 3 years, right? And that's when it hit me that no, I don't have systems. Anytime I had a child and had to pause, my income went away with it, right? So if your business requires increasing stress to grow, something is misaligned. That's not ambition, that's a system problem. Healthy businesses reduce chaos over time. Systems replace urgency, right? And clarity replaces pressure. So systems replace constant decision making, right? And success should feel calm and not overwhelming. And here's a faith anchor for me. God doesn't call us to build our way into burnout. No. He calls us to operate from a place of rest, right? That doesn't mean we don't work hard. It means the work has a foundation. It has a system that sustains us rather than depletes us, right? The business you're building should be somewhere you can sustainably show up, not a machine that eventually consumes and drains you. And that was what I was missing in my business, right? And so that's how come all these commandments are coming from experiences that I have lived, and saying no, I don't want to build a business that causes anxiety, but I want to build a business that brings peace and calmness as I grow and I scale, because there are systems in place. Right. The last commandment is thou shalt optimize for trust, not persuasion. This is important. We end here because it's the principle that holds all the others together. Marketing is not about convincing people. It's about removing doubt, answering your clients' questions, and making them feel safe enough to move with you. Right. Buyers always move forward when they feel heard, safe, and certain. The key word is understood and safe. And you need that certainty, right? And not when they're being persuaded by a clever tactic, not when urgency has been manufactured to force a decision, not when they've been manipulated by false scarcity. No, they move forward when they trust you. Trust shortens decisions cycles more effectively than any tactic ever will. When someone trusts you, they don't need 6 follow-up sequences. They don't need a countdown timer. They've already made the decision. They're waiting for the right moment. So you want to build for trust. Everything else, the tactics, the funnels, the automation, is in service of trust, not a replacement of it. We're entering a new era of entrepreneurship. AI has removed the barrier to producing content, which means content is no longer the advantage. It used to be back in 2020. Content was like only those who were creating content were going viral and having people trust them. But now, no. The advantage is systems. The advantage is clarity. The advantage is a business built on trust that serve people well, right? With or without constant pressure. The advantage is favor. The advantage is the anointing of the Holy Ghost because I'm Christian, right? So these commandments are not rules I invented. They are patterns I've seen across founders who build businesses that last and founders who burn out before they ever see the return on what they built. The difference is never expertise, is also almost never even effort, it's systems. Plus alignment, doing what you've been called to do. You are now going to labor with ease when you have a gift, working in that purpose, and you add it to systems. Then you're able to steward that gift, multiply it, and become a good and faithful servant. So if you found yourself nodding at any point during this episode, that nod is data. It means there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that gap means there's work to do. The predictable revenue system is how I help founders close that gap. It's not a course, it's a mentorship. It's how we install revenue systems into your existing business. It's a revenue system we build, one that runs, converts, and compounds. And so if you want to know more, you can send me a DM systems and we can talk more about that. And if you want this entire 12 commandment document, I'm going to leave the link down below. And as always, build with wisdom. See you on the next episode. It's bye-bye.